I'm back from a long Thanksgiving break, here to drop a new video. This one's going to be mainly one peaks and two peaks. That's just kind of how I wrote them. Let's get into the video. Starting off here, we have a black one peak climb that I thought would be a good one to start off with. Overhung, not the greatest one to start off with. It was quite overhung. I was able to complete it, thankfully, but it definitely kind of pushed me to my limits to start off the climbing session. I just kind of struggled with my hand placement, and because I never really want to fail the first climb of a session, so I didn't want to get this. I didn't want to fail this one here, so I really wanted to take extra time to make sure I got all these, and I happened to pick a harder climb. This is in my hometown of Santa Cruz, California, called Agility Boulders. Highly recommend this bouldering gym. Easily give them probably a solid 7 or 8 out of 10, just in terms of what they offer there. Their gym, their like weight section is quite small, but the climbing area is also quite small, but it is very well set and nice new grippy holds. So I got to give some extra points for that. But for the space that they have, it's definitely worth a trip out there for sure. Now this climbing session was the day before Thanksgiving, and on the Sunday after Thanksgiving, I got extremely ill with the stomach flu when I was supposed to come back to Seattle. So that is why the video has been delayed by quite a large bit here. But next week I will be flying out to Provo, Utah to visit the other part of my company. So maybe I'll try to do a climbing video out there. We'll see what goes on. But these first couple of climbs, nothing too special. They were all supposed to be one peak, which is supposed to be the easiest grade here. Nothing too special to say about them. That just besides the first one kind of kicked my butt because it was, I think, probably on the higher end of that grade range. But on to this one here. Now this was the first two peak that I attempted at this gym. I didn't really know how to start this one, and this is kind of before I had received a lot of comments from my last video about things I should work on. So I've not really taken any of that into account there. So it might look a little frustrating because you're like, oh, I told you what to do, but yeah, I hadn't listened at that point or hadn't even seen it really. So I tried that once, and then I realized, yeah, I wasn't going to be able to pull off of just a couple fingers quite yet. I now know, tendons just take quite a while to strengthen up, so it's kind of a more natural thing over the course of, just me climbing will help a lot. That one, I think I could have gotten that one if I took more time on it. So, it happens, but I didn't really want to spend any more time on it. So instead I went over to this black one here, which was overhung, which I very much enjoyed. This was a climb that I think both tested my ability to stay kind of like hanging on overhung part and also continue on with that. So I was happy to complete that one. That felt like a good accomplishment for me. Now this pink one, this is kind of some of the climbing that I enjoy doing, where it's not just a ladder, and it's also not just super like muscly climbs that you need to be able to do like 2 pull-ups to be able to accomplish it. But this was kind of a little more unique, where it uses a lot of like holds that I haven't really seen too much of. I've seen kind of these like big ones sticking out of the wall, but these like that one I just grabbed there, I hadn't really seen too many of those up here at the Seattle Bouldering Project. So they were pretty cool climbs that I hadn't really been able to try before. Just climbing in this, I guess, kind of like crevice area over here was also pretty fun, where you're using two parts of like two different walls to like stabilize yourself and keep yourself, kind of centered, and going up was kind of an interesting way of climbing here, which I enjoyed. So I enjoyed that dark green one there. Now onto this light green one here. I thought this one was actually going to be a lot more difficult than what it was, but it was surprisingly doable for me. There wasn't too much exciting about this, but I just was surprised by what I was able to accomplish. So that felt good after having a couple, what I would consider ruddy sessions um, earlier in the week and late the week prior. But going on to this next one here, we have this big dyno move, which I tried once and I tried it a couple other times. You'll see here. I I don't. I got some hands on it. I smacked my head on the ground and the GoPro hit me in the eye, and I was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to try it anymore. So let's just move on. Now this red one here is one that I don't get very far the first time because of how I'm standing. But in the next session, you'll see, which is the Sunday after Thanksgiving, I come back to this gym and I do attempt that red one again, and I change up my strategy for how I want to climb it. And I was like, you know what, that's a little bit better. Here I was trying, I was at this point I was just trying also to put some context around kind of why I'm so scatterbrained. It seems like I'm just trying to get a 2-peak done. And I'm just trying to find 1 2-peak just so I can say, hey, I did a 2-peak today. Because that was kind of my goal coming into this, was like, hey, you know what? Let's get at least, a few 1 peaks and then one solid 2-peak. And I wanted to make sure I could get that done before I left the gym. And so I was able to find this yellow one here, which was a 2-peak. I didn't think it was actually a 2-peak. I thought this was definitely a 1-peak, but I guess that's where kind of the overlap comes in here. Is this in my opinion is like a V2. And so it was kind of interesting to be like, to like think that this one felt a little easier than what I expected a 2-peak to be like. But I was happy to accomplish it regardless. Tail of the tape, 1 peaks I felt pretty confident with. I don't think there was a single 1-peak there that I couldn't do. And which is always feels strong, when the range says V0 to V2. For myself, that feels pretty good. Now for the 2 peaks, I did try a lot of climbs that I probably wouldn't be able to do normally, except maybe that black climb right in the beginning, where I probably could have done it if I spent a little more time working on it, but it's neither here nor there. I think it was a pretty good session. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Stay climbing.